Today, I would like to introduce my primary organizational tool, which I call the Psyche Sorting System. Now, I personally view creation unfolding from the causal plane, which is the psychic plane, the realm of the psyche, psychic activity, that which has not yet crystallized into form. Thoughts precipitate things. And it has been my experience that the thoughts which precipitate things tend to be very, very subtle in the ethers of the psyche, tend to be nebulous before they are formed. And it has been my experience that focus crystallizes into thought, and thought precipitates creation. But not in a linear sense. There's an ongoing creative process in which the holistic divine intelligence of the cosmos is creating all experience. And the linear experience of that is that thoughts, which includes feelings, comes into form or expresses through form, first as thought, psychic activity, including emotions, and crystallizes or accrues density so that it can be expressed in various forms. And, realms of density is a whole can of worms, but essentially we think a thing, or we are this creative energy that is flowing through all of creation. And in order for that to be formed, for that to be expressed through form, it has to be focused on sufficiently. And I believe that language is perhaps the most powerful tool at this time that allows us to participate in that process of creation by utilizing language to develop coherence, to develop accuracy in the experience that we're having without delusion or confusion. And so what I have found is that as I have grown older, it has become increasingly important to me to be authentic, to express in my thoughts, emotions, and actions authentically, honestly. And what I ran into when I began to do that is I found that there were many subtle causes that had been habituated in my psyche because of beliefs and agreements which I had held. Many of those were not thrust upon or bestowed upon me, but were part of my experience in order for me to ultimately gain clarity about what is real and authentic in my conduct. And that began in the psyche. So what I found is that when I consulted within, when I went inside my heart or my mind, however you want to conceptualize it, when I went within to consult the true self about various ideas that I had held, I found that those ideas were often borrowed from other people that were, I experienced those as distortions of the truth of who I am. And I'm grateful that I had those experiences, because through that contrast, I gained clarity about what I truly intend. And that is where the Psyche Sorting System came to be. In my work with my clients, I found that any problem that we have stems from misidentification. And this is something that I had learned from Paul Selig and Melchizedek. That's a whole realm of philosophy and knowledge and wisdom that I plan to explore more in other videos later. But for the time being, it began to come into my experience that it was my own agreements in my psyche in claiming ideas that did not feel authentic to me that led to confusion and delusion and suffering. And so what I found is that if we simply tell the truth about what we think and feel, and be willing to examine the beliefs and agreements that underlie our conduct and our orientation, immediate relief is experienced. Immediate relief can be claimed when we get clear with ourselves about what it is that we intend. And our intentions, I feel, are a natural, organic expression of our true desires as a soul, as life itself. The Psyche Sorting System is my primary proprietary organizational tool set that I use and teach my clients to sort the psyche. I teach coherence, and the Psyche Sorting System is the tool that I've developed which has most readily allowed myself and my clients to cultivate coherence. By using language to clarify what our true desires and the principles and intentions that emanate from our true desires, this tool has allowed me and others to reach and sustain clarity within ourselves about our true desires. And when we focus on our true desires, we recognize that that is what we are fundamentally. And so it is a natural expression of the true self to conduct one's psychic somatic activity in such a way that calls experiences and circumstances into our awareness that are aligned with the truth of who we are. And the words that I've found that feel most accurate in regards to what those true desires are, what the true pure principles of life are, is love, peace, and prosperity. It is the natural inclination of life to express and experience love, peace, and prosperity, because fundamentally that is our essence. We are complete unto ourselves. So, by utilizing the Psyche Sorting System or some other similar organizational tool, we can develop clarity about what we truly desire. And even if we're oriented or intent on specific expressions through the cultivation of life circumstances or particular experiences, that's a natural expression of who we are. When we get clear about it, then we can release the habits of denying and suppressing that because the expression of the true self is less a striving than it is an allowing of the vital power of life itself, which you are, and which is naturally expressing through your form in your life. And by going through and clarifying for ourselves what we really want, then we will orient ourselves towards cultivating habits and practices that are aligned with our true intentions and our true desires. Again, this doesn't mean striving. This simply means orienting ourselves in that direction. A flower is not trying to be a flower. The flower naturally is what it is and expresses as such when its expression is not being inhibited in some way. So when we stop inhibiting ourselves from expressing as we do naturally, then that's what tends to happen. As long as there's something not inhibiting the natural expression of life, then it will express because it cannot do other. So this organizational tool, the Psyche Sorting System, I wrote a manual for it. I don't know if this link is accurate. There will be an up-to-date, accurate link to the Psyche Sorting System in the description of the video, wherever it is. This is a paid product. I'm starting the price at $3, but that may go up over time. You're welcome to use Xmind like I did to map out a similar tool set, or to create maps like the one that I'm going to show you. You could even just draw this up by hand. It's somewhat simple, and I plan to do a hand-drawn tutorial video, or just how I would go about it if I was just drawing these maps out by hand. And I do think that there's some value in that, because the process of using your actual hand like impresses things into your psyche and your body more so than typing, I think. Okay, so the point of this, I'm not trying to tell you or anyone that that this tool is the only viable tool of its kind, or that it's the best. You might make a better tool. Mine is purely an example, and it's already built, so that's why I have it available for others. So I created this system to help people sort out their lives by sorting out their psyche. What continues to amaze me is that by sorting our psyche, by developing coherence in our psyche, the body and life circumstances naturally sort themselves out. There's no striving required, just clarity about what you desire and intend. So this demo video is available for free and is protected by copyright law. It's not to be replicated in any fashion or sold without explicit permission from the copyright holder. Inquiries related to the aforementioned matters may be directed to the contact page on my Linktree. It's right there, and that's also in the description. Okay, so a client comes to me, and they're troubled with a few different things. So the way that I tend to approach that is to listen thoroughly and get clarity about where they're at and where their focus is. So the thing that hurts the most tends to be the thing that requires our attention the most. For a lot of people, that is somewhere here in the survival area. I've got 6 different sections here. They correspond to the 7 chakra system, the growth and actualization section of the psyche pertaining to spiritual development, or the development of the soul, and how that relates to all of the other categories. And that has a correspondence to the crown chakra and the first eye chakra. Vision corresponding to the throat, vitality to the heart, self-direction to the solar plexus, relationships to the sacrum, and survival to the root. And so when I began to sort myself out using this organizational tool, I found that most of my concerns were in the survival area. And my clients tended to be struggling with things in these areas. So if we just take a moment and look at this map and recognize that any problem that we have is likely going to fall into one of these 6 categories. And that can help us, because then we can further narrow it down and we can get to the bottom of why we might be struggling in some area. So for many people, it has to do with work and income, maybe not liking their job very much, maybe not feeling satisfied with it, or that it's in harmony with the rest of their life. And so we can get clear about that. What are we doing? Well, if we're going to speak accurately about it, it's important with all of these details that we go within for accurate language. So a client maybe they work in an office where their role is maybe they don't enjoy it very much. Maybe they're in a clerical position and it's just not satisfying for them. Well, when they get clear about what they actually want, they might find that it's not necessarily going to be within the context of their current situation. It might be something completely different. But it helps to be clear about what kind of work we actually would like to be doing. So let's say that this client would like to own a business, a secondhand store, thrift store kind of thing. So say thrift store owner, operator. Okay. Well, now they're clear about what they want. Now a whole world of possibilities has opened up to them, because they're considering that where they're at is not where they need to stay forever. Okay, even if they don't start doing things immediately to bring those circumstances, that kind of work situation into their life, just being oriented towards it begins to open the door to that experience, to those circumstances. They may be working where they currently work, but they can begin to organize their thinking, their psychic activity, in alignment with that desire, that intention. And when we've been real with ourselves about what we actually would like, and embrace that not only is it possible, but it actually follows logically that if you're here, alive and embodied, then you do have intentions. You have purpose being here. And maybe it's something grand and cosmic that you may not be able to communicate to other people, but there are emanations from that. There are expressions of your true soul desires that are actually flowing through your psyche and your body. And when you are aware of that, then you can get coherent about what that is. And it's not just situations. It's not just thinking like, once this situation happens, then things will get better. It's about recognizing that what you want to experience, what you want to express in your life through your conduct and your circumstances, is a pure, authentic expression of what you are fundamentally. And so naturally, you will do that when you allow yourself to, when you open to the possibility that what I desire is valid, and it's not only possible for me to experience it, but I am naturally oriented towards realizing my true desires. So once we have an intention in place in a certain area, say, we'll go ahead and complete this work section. So the client, maybe they have to commute pretty far and they don't really like that. Well, maybe they'd like to not commute an hour to get to work. Maybe when they're operating their business, they would like that business to be relatively close to their home. And here's where we get to the real causal factors here. This is where we begin to run into often somewhat significant resistance. And that is why. Why do we intend that? Well, we don't really have to dissect it all that much. Just experientially, when we imagine what it is that we truly intend, it's the feeling that we would like to cultivate. And the circumstances naturally accrue around the feeling. So this is where the notion that the feeling is the secret, the feeling is the key to realizing your true desires. It really is, because what you'll find is that what you really truly desire is to know yourself, to realize your true self, and that includes in the expression of your life. So why a client might currently work where they work might be because logistically it makes sense. And why they intend to operate the business that they articulated in the other section. Maybe the real core reason for that is to more fully express in service and conduct. Service, conduct, and circumstances. Because in a sense, that's really all we would like. We would really like to be living our lives in a way that is an authentic expression of who we truly are. And many of us have accrued habits of thinking in which we believe that we have to have the life that we think we have to have, and that in some way that is different from what we truly want. And it might be, but that might be because we are suppressing what we truly want and running away from that and hiding it. Okay, so when it comes to actually realizing that which we truly desire, the how is simply to focus on true desires, including true intentions. Another way that we're going to intend to go about realizing what we truly desire is to articulate our principles, beliefs, agreements, and intentions. Okay. Well, there's a whole section for that here in self-direction. So when we get clear about what we actually believe, now we encounter the great resistance, because we have historically habituated beliefs and agreements that are based in the denial of who we truly are, the denial of the divine, the delusion of fear of an identity as separate from divinity or separate from source. This delusion is the great resistance that we've experienced in our seeking realization, seeking peace and love and prosperity. Because the delusion itself is what has inhibited the natural expression of the love, the peace, and the prosperity that we are fundamentally. And so when we embrace the belief initially, it eventually becomes a knowing, but the belief that all our needs are met in perfect ways, and that when we claim that truth, that all our needs are met in perfect ways, then vibrationally, energetically, we open ourselves to receiving that which we truly desire. And this doesn't always shake out in the most comfy and fun way, but when we continuously focus on, okay, what do I actually desire? What do I actually intend? That ongoing process of staying focused there brings increasing joy and satisfaction and vitality to your experience through your body and psyche. And so the self-direction section here for principles and intentions and beliefs and agreements, this is where we can start to articulate the positions that we take in relation to trusting life and creation to meet all needs, all true needs, in perfect ways. Now, outwardly, that doesn't always seem like it, but perhaps the development of a soul involves going through very challenging experiences in order to provide insights and wisdom that can be utilized in further development, service, love. So I encourage my clients to only articulate principles, intentions, beliefs, and agreements, even plans and goals, in coherence, to go within and consult the true self on what's accurate in regards to principles and intentions, beliefs, and agreements. I've mentioned a couple. All our needs are met in perfect ways. That began as an agreement in my psyche. And the more that I embraced that notion and entertained it, I came to find that it's true experientially when we are receptive to that. So I articulated all of my beliefs, agreements, principles, and intentions on my psyche map in alignment with my experience, which has been that when I'm being truthful about it, I know that all our needs are met in perfect ways. And I know that if I truly desire something and I get clear about what that actually is, then I can experience it first in the imagination and somatically, and then that will naturally crystallize into my life circumstances if I focus on it sufficiently. Because we only can realize things when we focus on them from beginning to completion. Okay, so we go through our psyche. We go through the things that we think and we feel and what we might be struggling with, and we just get clear about what it is that we want. And then we can start to develop a holistic life strategy that incorporates all of these different elements, so that anytime we have an experience, whether it's challenging or comforting, we can show up to that experience in a way that yields the highest benefit to us as individuals and all of life. Because us receiving what we need experientially is actually beneficial to all life. It might not necessarily be what we think we want, but all of our experiences that we attract to us are reflecting back at us what we're expressing. And when we get clear about what it is that we intend to express and the ground that we stand on in our expression, we begin to orient ourselves in a much different way, and we begin to conduct ourselves in our psyche in a much different way, in a way where we're not wasting energy thinking about and focusing on things that are not relevant to our true desires. So we can come into any section of the Psyche Sorting System where we might be struggling. Say we have a relationship that we're struggling with, a romantic relationship. So we go to that section and we figure out, okay, do I really even want to be in a relationship with somebody else romantically? If so, who? Is that the person that I'm with? Is it somebody else? Again, do I really even want a romantic partnership? Okay. Why? It's important to get coherent about why we cultivate the relationships that we do. And the how, of course, principles. If we're going to have a relationship, okay, what are the principles of that relationship? What is the intention of the relationship? What benefit does it yield to me, to them, to all life? And what we'll find as we engage in this sorting of the psyche is that we end up having a lot more energy, because we're only focusing on that which we truly desire and that which is relevant to our true desires. This isn't a selfish thing. This is just the natural expression of life, to attend to needs authentically, truly, and experience the satisfaction of creating as we truly desire, as we truly intend. And that begins, I feel, in the psyche. Accrues density is expressed somatically, and when focused on, our true desires, our true intentions, naturally begin to crystallize in our life experience. And all we really need to do is get coherent about what we truly desire, what we truly intend, and stay focused on it until it's completed. Because if we have an idea about something that we intend to create, some kind of life circumstances that we wish to experience, then we don't necessarily have to strive for that. We simply have to be clear about that. That is what I intend. And I know that it will be realized when it is with divine timing. It may not necessarily be the time frame that we want. Like, I would like to have $1 billion by Thursday at 3. We don't have to do that. We can be content in our awareness that all our needs are met in perfect ways. And if there is an action that is required for us to realize something that we truly desire, then we will know what that action is, and we will naturally engage in it. The important thing is to stay focused. Stay focused on what we truly desire and realize the complete satisfaction that is available to us once we know what we truly desire, what we truly intend in any particular area. My psyche over time has tended to gravitate, towards different topics that are here on this map. And when I get clear with myself about what I intend in those different areas, the actions that might correspond to that naturally arise at the perfect time. Now, that doesn't mean that it helps to sit around on the couch eating potato chips and watching cartoons, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we truly desire to cultivate some kind of circumstances or create something, then sitting around eating potato chips all the time in avoidance of doing the thing just creates more suffering. It doesn't it doesn't actually help us to crystallize what we are intending to create. That comes with focus. We could focus on creating what we intend while we're sitting on the couch eating potato chips. That's fine. But the joy and satisfaction seems to come from orienting ourselves in that direction and being willing to take the actions to realize the thing. If it's what we truly desire, that is the it is our destiny to realize our true desires. And so when we focus on what we truly desire, any actions that might be conducive to that, we will naturally be inclined towards. So getting clear about what we want is perhaps the most important thing. And then focusing on those true desires. And this system that I've created, the Psyche Sorting System, simply helps to organize our intentions and our principles, our beliefs and our agreements that underlie our orientation in all of these different areas of our life. And a holistic life strategy is something that naturally arises out of that. And that's something that I intend to talk about more in other videos. A holistic life strategy is something that just naturally, organically arises out of sorting ourselves out, because we, of course, begin to conduct our thinking and our feeling and our behavior in sync with, in resonance with, in alignment with our true desires. But the first step is to be aware of our true desires, perhaps articulate them to ourselves with language, to tell the truth about our desires and our intentions. That's how we truly create and receive our needs being met. Needs are met through awareness of them, telling the truth about what we need, what we desire, what we intend. I hope that that's clarified one way that one might approach the Psyche Sorting System, as well as a general overview of what it is and how it operates. Thank you for being. Thank you for your presence. Blessings.